Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR Update 24 channel. I hope you're having a great day. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up before we dive into today's Young and the Restless update. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates reveal Kyle Abbott went through a devastating heartbreak recently, with Claire Newman dumping him. Given that Claire appears to have found a new love, it's possible that Kyle could also be on the verge of discovering a new romance as well. Kyle could stumble upon a new romance sooner than he thinks, as viewers have noticed. Kyle's lies have finally caught up to him. His kiss with Audra Charles and his deal with Victor Newman have pushed Claire Newman away. Claire has since ended her relationship with Kyle and may be moving on with Holden Novak. However, Kyle is still not ready to give up on Claire. Meanwhile, another potential love interest might be waiting for him, though he may not see it yet. To win Claire back, Kyle has sought help from her mother, Victoria Newman. They have been spending more time together, with Victoria guiding Kyle on how to win her daughter back. However, the tables could turn and things go in another direction entirely. That being said, things might take a different turn. As the two spend time together and discuss love, a connection could form between Victoria and Kyle. After all, Victoria is also dealing with a similar heartbreak. She is currently single because of Cole Howard's death. It's possible that they could grow closer as they both grieve their lost loves. As the saying goes, misery loves company, and it can be comforting to be alone together. The fact that Victoria and Claire are mother and daughter might make fans less interested in this storyline. However, similar situations have occurred with other characters in Genoa City. Fans may remember that Ashley Abbott once gave up Ben Stitch Rayburn for her daughter, Abby Newman. Victoria has been in similar storylines before. What comes around goes around. Victoria has been involved in similar plots before. Cole had an affair with Nikki Newman prior to starting a relationship with her. Later on, Victoria married Brad Carlton, who was once engaged to her mother. This marriage ended because of her affair with J.T. Hellstrom, who was dating her stepdaughter Colleen Carlton. However, it seems unlikely that Victoria would betray Claire in this way, especially since she is trying to help Kyle, but on the other hand, it could create good drama. It might even lead to a negative turn for Claire's character and make her not so goody two-shoes. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with YNR right now. Come back here often for the Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Ian Ward isn't dead. Viewers know that, but Mariah Copeland doesn't. It seems like no one else in Genoa City, Wisconsin does either. It's possible that someone at the facility Mariah checked herself into in Boston, Massachusetts, is working with Ian because this is daytime. The audience doesn't know enough yet to draw that conclusion. All the fans have been given are some flashback sequences, which are marvelously presented in film noir-like black and white. Kudos to YNR's production team for making that visual switch in recent years, because it allowed Will Hensley to debut in a memorable retrospective fashion in the recent past. Michael Swan's return to daytime. Mariah believes that she smothered a man to death while on a business trip earlier this year. It appears that her recollection isn't accurate, with more plot details being needed to flesh out the truth. The soap world is a tight community. So, seeing daytime veteran Swan appear on this show isn't surprising. He had two roles on YNR's sister show, The Bold and the Beautiful, from 1998 through 2003. He portrayed Adam Alexander, with that character's alias being Miles Fairchild. Swan is best known for portraying Duncan McKechnie for many years on the former, beloved Steamers As the World Turns from 1986 through 2002, Guiding Light, and One Life to Live. He also had a brief role on Days of Our Lives. The veteran actor's career began in 1975 when he appeared in one episode of The Blue Knight. He appeared in many nighttime shows through the decades as well. What did Mariah Copeland do to Will Hensley? Mariah recalls meeting an older man while on a business trip for Cassidy First. She was drinking and apparently felt attracted to Will. They kissed and were later seen in a hotel room, where she was seen smothering him with a pillow. Psychological manipulation is one of Ian's hallmarks. His inexplicably awakening in the ambulance after he was apparently killed meant that a return was inevitable. So could this be it? Ian Ward vowed vengeance on his enemies. Jordan Howard was killed off. Unless the fans were misled, Zank's magnificent portrayal of Claire Newman's fiendish great-aunt won't be revisited like Wise's role can. But Ian likely couldn't have debilitated the ambulance driver and his partner, who were transporting him from the Newman Ranch living room to the morgue nearly a year ago in real time. Victor Newman would have been notified. So maybe Ian bought them off. Mariah threatened to kill Ian, who wanted to make amends with him. She vowed to do so if he made contact with her family. Ian never liked threats and is a revenge practitioner, making the developing storyline one where Wise's irrepressible villain is an obvious potential hidden suspect in the current storyline. No one knows Ian is alive, but maybe Will does and is working with or for him. This site is a leading source for everything linked to the Young and the Restless. Check back regularly for Y&R spoilers and news. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates for the upcoming 3 weeks, from October 20th to November 7th, indicate that Noah Newman will regain consciousness. Additionally, there will be a memorable wedding event, while Detective Burrow faces consequences, ensuring that Y&R fans won't want to miss any of the thrilling developments. Week of October 20th. Phyllis the Troublemaker, Tessa's Kiss. Kane tries to convince Devon. The week of October 20th to 24th will highlight Phyllis Summers' mischievous side, so expect her to disrupt Christine Blair's bachelorette party. Of course, that's before engaging in a heartfelt conversation with Danny Romalotti. Meanwhile, Tessa Porter will share a drunken kiss with Daniel Romalotti Jr. Meanwhile, Kane Ashby attempts to persuade Devon Winters that he has truly changed. However, Kane might find himself feeling disheartened afterward, making him more susceptible to temptation with Phyllis, as all indications suggest a fiery connection between them. Mariah struggles with her painful past. Audra gets help from Sally at Mariah's facility in Boston. She will confront her painful past. Mariah will remember the torment she caused Will Hensley, but that was merely a reaction to the trauma inflicted by Ian Ward. It seems Ian might pay Mariah a visit for further psychological torment, although that encounter will probably occur only in her mind. On a different note, Sally Spectra is set to make a significant move for Audra Charles and Billy Abbott. Sienna and Nick meet. Kyle witnesses a conversation. Claire hears about Noah in the upcoming episodes. Sienna Bacall is set to have some crucial moments as she finally meets Nick Newman face-to-face, where she will have to confront some pressing questions. Additionally, Kyle Abbott will witness Sienna engaging in conversation with Holden Novak. This interaction will certainly catch the attention of the curious Abbott, prompting him to question Sienna as well. Meanwhile, Claire will receive news regarding Noah's medical emergency and will make a visit to the hospital to check on him. That will be a thoughtful act that Sharon will truly appreciate. Week of October 27th. Victoria arrives. Danny and Christine work on their wedding during the week of October 27th to 31st. Victoria Newman is expected to head to Los Angeles as well. While she will want to support Nick, she might also feel compelled to keep an eye on Claire to prevent her from making rash decisions regarding Holden. Kyle is set on proving that Holden is trouble and could uncover some surprising truths in his latest endeavor. Perhaps Kyle will even lend a hand to Nick in uncovering who attempted to eliminate Noah. Meanwhile, Kane and Phyllis will explore a potentially passionate new relationship, while Danny and Christine wrap up their final arrangements for the wedding. Week of November 4th. Noah wakes up. Burrow is busted. Roger Howarth debuts. The much-anticipated day is expected to take place during the week of November 3rd to 7th, leaving fans of Christine and Danny excited to witness their marriage. On November 4th, Lucas Adams debuts as Noah, and as he prepares to wake from his coma, he might not be the same person he once was due to his brain injury. Meanwhile, Detective Burrow is in hot water, as his recent phone call suggests he's not engaging in legitimate police work. You can count on Nick confronting Burrow sooner or later, demanding to find out who he's really working for. Additionally, Roger Howarth's debut is on the horizon, and fans are curious to see if he'll portray Sienna's lover, Mitch, or a different character altogether. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with Y&R right now. Come back here often for the Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates. Genoa City is never quiet for long. Beneath the calm surface of its glistening skyline, tension hums like electricity waiting to spark. And this week, that spark comes from 3 fronts: Noah Newman's emotional awakening, Mariah Copeland's personal fight, and Detective Burrow's shocking collapse, all threads weaving into one powerful storm of betrayal, redemption, and truth. The ripples begin in the hospital, where Noah lies pale but breathing after weeks of silence that tested everyone's faith. Noah's awakening. The soft beeping of machines filled the sterile room. Sharon sat at her son's bedside, her fingers gently clasping his. "Come back to me, baby," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You've fought through worse." Nick Newman stood by the window, staring out at the gray morning light. His jaw tightened. Every doctor's word echoed in his mind. Noah might never wake up. But Nick refused to believe that. Then, just as the clock ticked past dawn, Noah's eyelids fluttered. Sharon gasped. "Nick." He moved. Nick turned, his heart hammering. "Noah? Son, can you hear us?" For a moment, silence. Then a faint, hoarse sound. "Mom." Tears streamed down Sharon's cheeks as she leaned in. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm right here." The machines chirped faster. A nurse rushed in, calling for the doctor, but Sharon barely noticed. All she could see was her son's eyes opening, dazed, confused, but alive. Noah's first words after weeks of unconsciousness would send shockwaves across Genoa City. Memories in fragments. "Noah," Dr. Harrison said gently a few hours later. "Do you remember what happened before the accident?" Noah's brow furrowed. There was water. Cold. Someone shouting. He paused, eyes darting to his parents. And a woman. Nick exchanged a quick look with Sharon. "A woman? Who, Noah?" Noah's voice cracked. "She was crying. I think she tried to save me." Sharon took his hand. "Do you know her name?" He hesitated, frustration clouding his face. "I can't remember. But I know I owe her my life." The room fell into uneasy silence. The woman in Noah's fragmented memory could change everything, especially once they learned she wasn't a stranger at all. Mariah's battle. Across town, Mariah Copeland was in a different kind of fight, one not for her life, but for her identity. At Crimson Lights, she sat across from Tessa Porter, her wife, trying to keep her emotions in check. "You can't just bottle it up," Tessa said softly. "Talk to me." Mariah sighed, rubbing her temples. "It's not that simple. I keep thinking about Noah, about what I said before the accident. What if he never forgives me?" Tessa frowned. "You were trying to help him." "I pushed him," Mariah admitted. "Told him to face his pain, stop pretending he was fine. I thought I was being honest, but maybe I was cruel." Tessa reached across the table, her hand covering Mariah's. "You told him the truth. That's not cruelty. That's love." Mariah's eyes glistened. "Then why do I feel like I broke something?" "Because she had a fragile bond with Noah that might never fully heal, no matter how many apologies she whispered." Detective Burroughs' secret. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the Genoa City Police Department, Detective Colin Burrough was a man unraveling. 4 months, he'd been the department's rising star, sharp, charming, unshakably confident. But beneath the badge was a darkness few knew existed. Burrough wasn't just investigating Noah's accident. He was part of it. A flashback painted the truth. The night Noah's car went off the bridge, Burrough had been tailing him, under orders to keep tabs on a suspected drug connection tied to an art shipment. But when the chase went wrong and the car plunged into icy water, Burrough panicked. Instead of calling for backup immediately, he tried to cover his tracks, afraid the department would discover he'd been operating without clearance. That one cowardly choice set off a chain reaction of lies, and now, as Noah began to remember, Burroughs' world was collapsing. The woman in the water. Back in Noah's hospital room, Sharon sat quietly as her son dozed. Nick paced the hallway until Chance Chancellor arrived. "How's he doing?" Chance asked. "He's awake," Nick said, exhausted. "But his memory's fractured. He keeps mentioning a woman who saved him." Chance frowned. "Interesting. The rescue report said no one else was found at the scene." "Exactly," Nick replied. "Which means someone's lying." Later that night, Noah stirred again. "Mom," he murmured. "I remember her name." Sharon leaned close. "Tell me." "It was Mariah." The word hung heavy in the room. Sharon froze, unable to process it. "Mariah? She was there?" Noah nodded weakly. "She pulled me out before the car sank. I saw her face." Outside, Chance overheard, and instantly knew the case had just taken a dangerous turn. Mariah under fire. The next morning, Chance arrived at the Crimson Lights with a grim expression. Mariah, he said carefully, we need to talk about the night of Noah's accident. Her heart skipped. What about it? He remembers someone pulling him from the wreck. Someone who looked like you. Tessa's eyes widened. Wait, you think Mariah? I'm not accusing anyone, Chance interrupted. But if you were there, we need the truth. Mariah stood frozen, coffee mug trembling in her hands. Finally, she whispered, I was there. Tessa turned to her, stunned. What? Mariah's voice cracked. He called me that night. Said he was lost, angry. Didn't want to go home. I followed him, tried to stop him from driving off. When the car went over, I dove in after him. Chance nodded slowly. Why didn't you tell anyone? I panicked, she admitted. I thought I'd be blamed. He was drunk. I thought if people knew, they'd twist it. Tessa squeezed her hand. You saved him, Mariah. But as Chance left, one thought gnawed at him. If Mariah saved Noah, who called 911 before she did? Burroughs' desperation. That question led Chance straight to Detective Burroughs' desk. Interesting timing, Chance said coolly, dropping a report in front of him. You filed the accident response 5 minutes before the 911 call came in. Care to explain that? Burroughs' eyes flickered. Must be a timestamp error. Or maybe you knew exactly what happened because you were there. Burrough leaned back, smirking. Careful, Chancellor. Accusing a fellow officer without proof? That's dangerous. Chance didn't flinch. So is lying on official reports. When he walked away, Burroughs' facade cracked. Sweat beaded on his forehead. The walls were closing in, and the one person who could expose him had just woken from a coma. Noah's painful realization. As his strength returned, Noah began remembering more. Each flash was like a puzzle piece slotting into place. The bridge, the headlights, the sound of tires screeching, and a police cruiser's siren blaring behind him. One afternoon, Sharon sat beside him as he whispered, Mom, it wasn't just me out there. There was a cop. Sharon's eyes widened. What do you mean? He tried to stop me, but when I crashed, he didn't help. He just stood there. Sharon's stomach twisted. Do you know who it was? Noah hesitated, his voice low. Detective Burrough. The room spun. The man assigned to investigate Noah's accident was the one who caused it. The breaking point. By the end of the week, whispers about Burroughs' misconduct spread through the station. Files disappeared. Surveillance footage was accidentally erased, and witnesses suddenly changed their stories. But Chance wouldn't let it go. He confronted Burrough one final time in the parking lot late at night. You can't bury this, Chance said coldly. Noah remembers. Burroughs' eyes darted nervously. Then maybe he should have stayed in that coma. Chance stepped closer, his voice a low growl. Say that again. Burroughs sneered. You think you're the hero, but you're just like me. We both bend rules. I just got caught. Then, in a desperate move, Burrough tried to flee, jumping into his car, tires screeching. But in his panic, he lost control and slammed into a barrier. Irony struck cruelly. The man who left Noah to die by the river met his own downfall the same way, wrecked by his own fear. Justice and healing. The next morning, the news broke. Detective Colin Burrough dead in apparent car crash amid corruption probe. Genoa City buzzed with shock. For Sharon, Nick, and Noah, it was bittersweet relief. He won't hurt anyone else, Sharon said softly. But I wish it hadn't ended like this. Noah nodded, his voice barely a whisper. He was lost. Maybe even scared. I get that now. Nick placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. What matters is you're here. Alive. And you've got a second chance. For Noah, that meant more than anyone knew. Mariah's redemption. A few days later, Mariah stood in the park with Noah. The autumn leaves swirled around them, painting the air with gold and crimson. You saved my life, Noah said quietly. And I treated you like the enemy. Mariah shook her head. You don't owe me anything. I do, he said firmly. I remember what I said before the crash, how I blamed you for everything. I was angry, but not at you. I was angry at myself. Tears welled in her eyes. You don't have to apologize. I do, Noah insisted. Because you didn't just pull me out of that water, you pulled me out of the mess I'd made of my life. Mariah smiled softly. Then don't waste it. Make it count. A new beginning. Weeks later, Noah returned to his art studio, staring at a blank canvas. His hands trembled at first, but slowly, color began to flow. Deep blues, bright golds, raw emotion turned into beauty. Each brushstroke was a piece of his recovery, a tribute to survival. Meanwhile, Mariah and Tessa hosted a charity concert for accident victims and their families. When Noah surprised everyone by donating one of his new paintings for auction, the crowd erupted in applause. The painting's title, Awakening. Closure. As night fell, Sharon and Nick stood together watching their son laugh with Mariah and Tessa. "He's different," Sharon whispered. "Calmer." Nick nodded. "He's finally living again." She smiled faintly. "After everything this town's been through, maybe we all needed an awakening." Across town, Chance placed Burrow's badge in an evidence box, a silent reminder that truth always surfaces, even through darkness. And in the quiet corners of Genoa City, life moved on, fragile, flawed, but full of hope. Because every downfall births redemption. Every battle uncovers strength. And every awakening begins with one breath, the courage to start over. Epilogue: Genoa City's next storm. Of course, peace in Genoa City never lasts. A mysterious message arrives at Sharon's cafe days later, a photo of Noah's car wreck, time-stamped hours after the supposed crash. A note scrawled across the image reads, "Burrow wasn't working alone." The cycle begins again, secrets stirring, old wounds reopening. And as always, the Newmans will be forced to face the truth, no matter how deep it's buried.